Hello, everybody, and welcome to WarCrafters for February 9th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 6. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about 5 articles that are aggregated into ohmtown.com and a sub-channel called WarCrafters. It's the name of the show. Not all of our articles are going to come from it, but if you are interested in gaming news, that's where it all gets aggregated to, with some other stuff depending on the content being aggregated elsewhere. So it's probably smart if you just go over to ohmtown.com and become a subscriber there and follow us here on Twitch and here on YouTube. We have 1,800 plus episodes over on YouTube, and there are 6 weekly podcasts and 1 daily podcast that has 4 years now worth of content. All right, let's get into these 5 articles. They're going to be Nightreign won't be a live service, Dig VR, 22K games, $5 Soulslikes, and 8 things to do in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com. So hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
All right. It's been an interesting week. Various kinds of news out there. We need a distraction from reality, so let's talk about some games. So we've got 5 games set up. This first one that we're, well, not 5 games, 5 news articles, but they're all about gaming. Elden Ring Nightreign won't be a live service game, according to From Software, the developers of the game. I instantly flinched when I heard a new game was coming out because it seemed like everything is going to live service. Why?
Well, it probably works for the software developers, right? The companies, not necessarily the consumers.
Yeah, so the problem has always been, or I don't know if it's always been, it feels like everything is switching over to live service. I'm trying to figure out why all of a sudden your audio started acting kind of hinky. So yeah, while we troubleshoot that, I don't like live service games because it basically makes it so that the company at any time can just decide to turn it off. In fact, there is a Marvel game that is being turned off in 2 months, even though people have been paying into it. What is it called? Marvel.
It's Marvel Rivals, I think.
Not Rivals. What is the one that's just now turning off? Doggone it.
Snap?
No. That's brand new. That actually got turned off because of something else.
Super War.
No. It isn't
Multiverses.
Snap. There it is. Multiverses. Thank you. Wow.
4th time's the charm.
Yeah, just running down the list. So yeah, Multiverses is being turned off, and it's one of those frustrating things that falls under the stop killing games kind of edict, but it's up to companies, right? So like the EU has already said you can't force a company to keep a game going, and well, it makes sense, but why should the company benefit from providing the service, and because it doesn't make enough, they kill it outright, yet they keep all of my money? You know, oh, well, it's because, well, you had enough fun, so we're taking it away.
Right. But as you always say, like if somebody came into your residence and took something, you'd be pretty bent out of shape, and that's really what's happening.
Yeah. So the article is over at Newsweek, and it's by Rahul Mahamdar, and the title of this is Elden Ring Nightreign won't be a live service game, says From Software. And this is the newest game that was announced during the Game Awards, and I think that it'll be a fun game to watch people play. I don't know if I'll get invested in it. I really don't get invested in games anymore, it seems. I'm still looking for my forever game. I keep looking at Minecraft. I keep looking at No Man's Sky. I'm waiting for Light No Fire. I'm hoping that Light No Fire is the one that I start out with and I kind of die on that hill. Hey, if you want today's articles, by the way, you can hit exclamation point and then WC for WarCrafters, and Omatron will spit out today's articles into the chat, and you can click on the links. So while the developer has implemented multiplayer mechanics in its games before, Nightreign looks more similar to modern, ever-evolving multiplayer titles like Fortnite, while fans are assuming that Nightreign would be riddled with live service systems like battle passes and an always evolving meta. From Software says that it won't be the case. Just announced, for instance, is what is it? Oh gosh, my brain. It just Helldivers 2 just announced or just dropped an update.
Right.
And so it's always, these live service games are benefiting from the fact that they're always evolving. Things are always being added. But then if for whatever reason you bought this game because you want to be able to do multiplayer with or co-op with your friends, the server could have been integrated into the system, right? Minecraft has its own server. I just played Rounds, an old game. It has a server that's built into it, so you can connect. It doesn't take. It's not a live service. So why can't all of these games have the live service integrated into it, so that when they decide to turn it off, you can still play it with multiple people? It's not like that. Something weird going on over there?
On your end, the audio was really odd.
Really?
It sounded like you were hitting your microphone multiple times.
I was.
Well, okay then.
So Ishizaki added that the goal of the upcoming spin-off was to condense the experience of the massive RPG that preceded it. In doing so, Ishizaki reiterated that the company isn't simply following trends by making a multiplayer-only spin-off. The focus was condensing this experience down, the RPG elements, the exploration, the character building, leveling. So apparently it's not going to be a live service, but it is being condensed down into a multiplayer experience.
Right. I mean, does that translate to we're not going to give you as much? Or is it really going to be like, okay, this is actually a win for the players?
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. I'll talk about it when it gets released, either in open beta where it can be discussed, or full release when it can be discussed. Any news that comes from others, though, we'll end up talking about it here if it rises to the level that it's different than what we're hearing right now. It needs to be significant enough for us to even talk about it. But I wanted to talk about this because live service gaming, I think, is kind of the bane of my existence, because just imagine you invest 10 years of yourself into a game and somebody decides, because it doesn't make enough return on their investment, not that it doesn't, that it's break even.
Right. It's just not enough profits. Right. And even more so, what if you develop your whole career around it, right? Like you have a Twitch channel or a YouTube channel and it's tied to a specific thing. I mean, that'd be pretty concerning.
Yeah, it's always been an issue of mine where I tell people that are in various businesses, don't put all of your eggs in one basket, because have you seen the price of eggs? Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over in RealityHacker. Again, not all of the stuff talks about WarCrafters, like in the gaming section. It's not all in WarCrafters. Some of it leaks out into things like RealityHacker or even TechnologyToday.
Sometimes the continuity report has a gaming article, etc.
Yep. And when we find it interesting, that's what we do. So the reason why this came up, I suspect, is because I'm into VR, and I really get a kick. I dig VR games where you have to take virtual control of things to make them work, and in Dig VR you get to do that. prepare your planning permits as Dig VR heads to PlayStation VR 2 and Steam this March. In Dig VR, you become a construction god, digging up pesky dirt around the comically named Diglington in the county of Digshire.
Do we think they're going for a dig theme?
Maybe. As you progress, you become privy to hidden... but I can dig it. You get privy to hidden lore across the city while unlocking complex machinery and crevice-creating tools like a circular saw, compactor, and grabber. On March 20th, PSVR 2 and Steam players will have their chance to work through the buildings simulators, quirky campaign, and enjoy Dig VR's handful of mini games and sandbox game mode too. So I always dig this kind of stuff. It's over at uploadvr.com. Sarah Thwaites put the article together. I've gone to a place where you can race these and learn how to drive the digger. That is a blast. If you ever get a chance to play in a construction playground, do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, where else are you going to be able to experience that unless you're actually somebody operating the equipment?
Oh my gosh, I'm yawning. That's probably not selling the show. So, well, that's what happens when you stop breathing because you're really excited about the... So there's a video over here at uploadvr.com. I would suggest going over and checking it out. They said that they enjoyed their time with Dig VR and gave it a 3.5 out of 5-star review, describing it as enjoyable premise backed by a vibrant presentation, comically silly mini games, and beautifully British humor. It isn't hyper realistic in the sense that you're working in a VR hyper realistic world, but it's better designed. I'll play the video a little bit.
It's not like what you would think of if you're like something is happening around you.
Yeah, it's closer to a game that I've played called Eco, where it's blocks, and more comic-like, more animated-like, not hyper-realistic.
Right.
But it seems like it would be fun. Okay, I'm going to keep on going over to the next article, and that one's over in WarCrafters. New 2K sale gives you 20 games for $20, but there's a catch. It says this year marks the 20th anniversary of 2K games. Normally they don't celebrate publisher birthdays, but they'll make an exception, and this is over at Kotaku. They're going to make an exception because it's 2K Games is honoring the milestone with a big sale on Steam, and that has one particularly noteworthy offer, a package that includes 20 games for $20.
Yeah, that sounds almost too good to be true.
Yeah, actually, let me go over to there. I want to see this.
But I mean, it has games that I've heard of.
Yeah, it has quite a few. So Borderlands, okay. Zach Zweisen over at Kotaku.com put this article together. It's been sitting on the Steam store front page since their original announcement. But the games include, this is the deck statement, 2K Games new bundle on Steam includes Mafia, Borderlands, Godfall, XCOM, and even Duke Nukem. I'm not sure what it is that they say is the catch, but let's see what they say here. The sale ends February 20th. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's when the sale ends. That's not necessarily the catch.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the catch is. The biggest deal. So here are the games, and I was going to read them from Steam, but they're in the order that's over on Steam, it seems. Are they?
Oh, this is the catch, and this might actually be a problem for a lot of people. If you have one of the games, then you don't get the deal, even though maybe you don't have the remaining games.
Really? Why wouldn't they just fill in the gap? That's a big catch.
So you're in good shape if you're a brand new gamer. Go for this deal. But yeah, or like just don't provide the other game or something.
Hold on a second. So according to this, I don't have any of those games because it's saying that I can buy this for $20. But let me see.
Maybe it's just that it doesn't give you an extra of that one. There's something tied to if you currently own it.
That's kind of weird, right? Oh, yeah, okay. See, this bundle doesn't give you a discount if you already own one or more of the games in it, and you don't get extra copies of those games you already own. So if, for example, you own BioShock The Darkness 2 Borderlands already, you still have to pay $20 for the
Ah,
bundle, and you don't
I
get digital
misread that.
copies.
I thought that meant like you don't get the $20 deal at all because you happen to have already owned one of these, but I see.
Yeah, it basically you just fill in the blank. So I don't know if you
I mean,
can
that's still
gift
a
it.
really good deal because $20 for whatever 19 or 18 games, if you
Right.
had one or two, would still be a very good deal if you liked any of those.
Oh, and you can gift it. So that's a pretty good deal for gift being a to gift it to somebody. I mean, I think that's a great
Yeah,
deal.
absolutely.
So in that example, the deal becomes less great, just less great. So if you've purchased one of these games, then you're getting 19 for $20 instead of 20 for $20.
As long as that's not the one drawing you to the deal, I think that's still, and we're not affiliates with any of this.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in WarCrafters as well. This $5 Soulslike is overflowing with gloomy vibes and evil ants. Last year, what's the Polygon? The author caught a post by solo developer Wobbleboy about how they got quirky with the tutorial messages in their upcoming game about fly with a sword. It wasn't just the tutorial messages that intrigued the author, though. It was, well, everything about Fly Night. Wow, would have been Fly by Night. That would have been funny.
Yeah, that's where it seemed like it was going.
It's actually called Fly Night, a dreamy retro Souls-like about fighting bugs. Tyler Culp over at Polygon.com put the article together. And yeah, so it was released on Steam last week in a mix of RPGs that they're not quite old enough to appreciate and Souls-like elements ripped right out of one of the favorite games of all time, Dark Souls, hence Souls-like. It was the lethargic melee-based combat of Kingsfield and the trial of a Dark Souls level full of enemies waiting to ambush you. And you play as a fly who can swing a sword, cast magic, and equip fish for passive buffs.
Does the picture look a little like Hollow Knight type characters? I mean, I know the artwork doesn't, but that kind of reminds me of that for some reason. No?
The art reminds me of Wizard 101. Just
Well, okay.
it's low.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like hyper realistic or anything like that.
Yeah. So they say, like any good Souls, like your first quest is simply to get to see what lies ahead. Your journey begins in the middle of a camp of dead bugs and nothing but the tutorials to guide you. They ended up with a mace and a 4-armed enemy ant who knocked them off their feet. Every swing and block eats your stamina, so it's like a low poly Kingdom Come Deliverance, because in Kingdom Come Deliverance in Deliverance 2 you have a stamina bar that with every swing and every action it takes down.
I see. Right. Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty fun. So I don't know about this. Where they started getting squashed was the first dungeon, a dark maze with poisonous plants hidden beneath the grass. Fly Knight pulls the same tricks as From Software does in its games. As you charge toward an enemy, there's always something waiting around the corner or underneath your feet to shatter your confidence. So there's a lot more in this article. But you can get Fly Knight right now over on Steam. Let me see how much it actually is. So there's regionality on Steam now, if I recall correctly. So the price that I'm looking at is $6, but it might be more or less expensive somewhere else. Perhaps. I'm not really sure if Steam does that. I know that Twitch does that, but So they say they're not even ready to think about all that yet, and that's all this stuff up above. Developer Wababoy has also promised to release a new Game Plus mode with remixed levels and enemy placements, as well as a randomizer mode that dumps everything into a blender each time you play. The whole, what do they call it? New Game Plus, like New Game Who Dis. It actually refers to starting the game over, but you have more stats.
Right. Okay.
And your enemies are emboldened a little bit too. And so you get stronger, but it's at a different proportion than your enemies. Otherwise, you're basically just starting the game over again. But
right, which is not always a win. It depends on what you want to do with the game.
Yeah. You keep your stuff and get buffer, basically. What was the game? What was the name of that game? Stardew
Valley?
No.
That can't be Starfield.
Starfield, thank you. Yeah.
It only took me 2 times.
Why did you say Stardew? That can't be Stardew Valley?
I knew that wasn't the right kind of game that you were referencing, but that was the name that came to mind.
It came to mind. That's right. All right. You ready to go on to the next thing?
I am, and I'll try not to come up with any other game names during this episode because it's not happening.
That's great. That's great. So the next article and the last one for today's WarCrafters is over in WarCrafters. 8 must-do things for a strong early game in Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I actually wondered if this article was in here when you referenced it, but I didn't want to say anything in case it wasn't.
Yeah, I had to drag Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's been out for a few days. Kingdom Come Deliverance is an ambitious game that transports players to Bohemia in the Middle Ages. Essentially, if I recall correctly, that's Turkey nowadays. Let me make sure.
I'll look that up.
Okay. So, immersing them in an epic journey filled with challenges and discoveries through the eyes of Henry, the protagonist. This
Czech Republic.
Oh, Czech Republic. That's right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I totally knew that. Just, I don't know. It slipped my mind. I'm sorry about that. The moment you said that, everything clicked back into place. I'm like, oh, God. So Kingdom Come Deliverance, it says you basically take on the persona of Henry, the protagonist. The title stands out for its realistic mechanics and accurately recreate the era's conflicts and authentic atmosphere, ensuring an immersive and historically grounded experience. And so this game, when you first see like trailers and stuff of it, you'll go, wow, it's a beautiful, land, a beautiful world that it's creating. And you may or may not buy into it, like the story and all of that. If you've never played Kingdom Come Deliverance, the original, you're not fully engrossed in the story. You're not really attached to it. But the moment that you watch people play it, you get sucked into this.
That's interesting.
It's an amazing piece of software, and you actually either really like the protagonist, or depending on which direction they go, you don't. But you can take on the persona of whatever you want. And you build relationships, and you have to talk to people to get certain things, information and leads and stuff like that allow you to go through the story. There's a core story, and then there's all kinds of subordinate inputs into that main story. Eduardo Arredo over at Game Rant put the article together. And I've been watching several people play pretty much every day. And I find it very engrossing. It's kind of like watching, not really a sitcom, depending on who it is that I'm watching, because they can be very, very silly, or they can be very, very serious, or somewhere in between. But you're basically in the Middle Ages. You start out with nothing. You can actually you don't have to follow the storyline. You could sit there and become a master blacksmith, and slowly engage in the storyline, but build a massive amount of wealth while you're doing it, because you get taught skills, and you can craft brew like potions and stuff, or you can make armor, or you can make weapons. And it says the start of the game can seem complicated, requiring close attention to details and adaptation to challenging dynamics. However, certain decisions made by players help ensure a good start of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, making Henry's initial progress in this new adventure smoother. So they say, talk to Bara as soon as possible. She's the one of the first NPCs that Henry encounters when the game starts, and starts the whole ball rolling with how to get started. It says, fortunately, it's not difficult to find her, since she calls out Henry's name in Troskowitz, and wears a red dress that draws attention. Speaking with her can grant important regional details and directions on where the protagonist should go to survive the first few hours of Kingdom Come Deliverance, because there is a day-night cycle.
Oh, okay.
Then going to meet Radovan. That's the blacksmith that teaches you how to make weapons, sharpen your weapons. Introduces Henry to the crafting system, useful for earning a few groshens, that's the money, and buying new items from the shops. The blacksmith, Radovan, also provides the protagonist with a bed without requiring any payment, and from that point on, there is more freedom to explore the surrounding region. That's how you save games, with by making potions as well. You have to make potions to save. Your horse ran off in the original. So pebbles can be found in one of the blacksmith Radovan's quests, so you have to go through that. It says, do not save perks for later. It is important to invest in the new skills for Kingdom Come Deliverance, and you have this massive set of perks that help you out.
Okay, so you should actually use them and not hold on to them. That seems a little counterintuitive.
Yeah, like it says, 15 available perk points, and if you're not utilizing them, then they're not doing anything to actually assist you, so you might as well do it, right? Then it says it is possible to acquire a bow fairly early in the game. You can actually go to, I believe it's a training center, perfect for those wanting to try range combat in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So in the beginning of the journey, you can feel daunted, or it is daunting actually, as the character does not have many pieces of equipment. However, there are some weapons that can be obtained free, including a bow that appears once exploration of the open world is unlocked. This item can be found along a small dirt path at a crossroads between Troskowitz and Takov. And somewhere around there, if I recall correctly, there's a training center where you can actually earn a lot of money simply beating other people. And there's a whole gambling side of this where you can play dice. It's a special game.
Interesting.
Dice, using 5 dice or more. Actually,
I wonder if they'll spin that off as another game.
Yeah, it would be interesting, because I've actually thought about it, like bringing it into ohmTown to play. And then they say, visit Tomcat. After accumulating some gold, this character teaches one of the best skills in the game. I think it's the Master Strike. Yeah. So it's a certain combo so that when you do the right move, you basically knock your opponent unconscious. It says this skill is a game changer, just like in the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, enabling Henry to handle opponents more easily. It automatically counters any enemy as soon as a perfect block is executed. Tomcat's location can be discovered, and more about him can be learned by speaking with Bara. Again, you need to speak to everybody who's willing to talk to you. And even your appearance, if you've gotten in combat and you're bloodied, when you go to talk to somebody and you've got blood all over you, even in the real world, right? Nobody's going to talk to you. They'll call the police.
Right, but I didn't know games would account for that.
Yeah. And your clothing can be dirtier than your face because you washed your face and hands off, but your clothes are still dirty, so you have to go and get them laundered. Otherwise, people are like, you smell really horrible. Oh, and here's the archery range that I was talking about earlier. I've never even played the game. I didn't buy it, mainly because I know that it's a time sink and I don't have a lot of time. So archery tournaments are perfect for earning gold coins, groschen, in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And as long as you're fast and steady-handed, then you can win these pretty easily. It says the tournament can be challenging for beginners because the archery system in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does not provide a crosshair for aiming. You have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, that's interesting and kind of contrary to every other archery game that I've seen.
Yeah, there's no crosshair, so you have to fire it once and learn quick. Otherwise, if you don't, you're just going to be wasting shots. And then finally, the marigold decoction recipe as soon as possible. Healing potions are indispensable for combat. So learn how to do these decoction recipes so that you can basically heal. It says it's not a cheap item costing 150 groshens, and it makes Henry come some time to gather all that money, especially considering other necessary equipment. Nonetheless, it is an investment worth making regardless of the price, because healing potions are essential to surviving any situation in the game, particularly combat.
I mean, that probably goes for a lot of games, right? If you can't heal, you're not going to last very long.
Yep. So if you can get all of the materials, the crafting for alchemy is complex and time sensitive. You have to lift a pot and set it down and grind stuff in a mortar and pestle and add a certain amount in a certain order, and it's quite fascinating. There's a whole recipe book and an area where you do the alchemy, and you set the book down and it opens up and you flip through the pages. It's very immersive, but it's a blast to watch people play it, let alone play it if you're into this kind of a game. GameRank gives it a 10 out of 10, by the way. So, but it is violent, it is bloody. There's a lot of language, colorful language, but you know, as long as you go, look, this is a game, it's not real world, don't sit there and try and turn a game into the real world, then anybody that might want to play this that isn't necessary, well, any children that are going to play this, they can be taught right from wrong. Anyway, all good points. So go over and check out the rest of this article because it has more detail for you to kind of wade through and do a decoction of this article. Ta-da!
It's come full circle.
It has. But that's it. You want to just end the show, huh? That's fine.
Okay. Well, we got to go back to the main page.
That's right. So we're going to decoct ourselves right back to the front page of WarCrafters over at ohmtown.com. It's a little clunkier to get there, you know. You have to go to ohmtown.com, and then under Creative and Maker is WarCrafters. You click that link, it takes you here, and then you have a bunch of news that you can read about. Once you're in there, it kind of looks like this, and once you've logged in, you can actually reply to articles and give your 2 bits. You can even leave a Giphy because we're powered by memes. But don't forget, there's 1,800 episodes over on YouTube. There is the podcast for this show, and Non Sequitur News is the daily show, and this becomes a part of the weekend edition of Non Sequitur News. Discord. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, that's it. Let's go back to the front page. Boom. And I'm Mayor Watt saying bye. Stay tuned, though, right?
That's right. We have Technology Today and FourWheelTech coming up. See you later, hometown citizens.
See you later, hometown citizens. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about technology and science in Technology Today. And these 5 articles chosen for today are, well, they're my titles, and then we share the real titles on the other side of this. So, special stormwater sponge, and I have a typo in it, but I'll fix that. Frozen electrons, lost sea turtle years, X-ray study, and magnetic fields reshape sound waves. That sounds similar to something that Mayor Watt has said in the past. Anyway, everything's powered by ohmtown.com. Technology Today is one of the many channels that are over at ohmtown.com. Go over there and become a citizen, and you'll find all kinds of news that you can use. All news, no noise, because all the noise comes from this guy. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Thanks for co-hosting. Let's get into this. It's supposed to be a 30-minute show, but the shows always end up being about 40 minutes if I soapbox too long. So let's see if I can, and I don't edit. I like transparency. So let's get going. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So when I put this together, I actually saw these sponges, sponges.
I don't know. No, that would be a single one.
Sponges?
Yes.
Spongies.
No, like I said, sponges.
Sponges?
Yeah.
So there's one sponge, two sponges. Got it. So specialized sponge can suck up stormwater pollution. Had me at the beginning of that, but at the end I was like, wait a minute. Every sponge can suck up stormwater, but not necessarily, well, and pollution. So I don't know. This is the gray water area.
Yeah, but like at a small scale.
Well, as more waterways contend with algae blooms, and pollution caused by minerals from agricultural runoff and industrial manufacturing processes, new methods to remove pollutants like phosphate, copper, and zinc are emerging across fields. So, Northwestern University. Oh boy. See, there's some side discussion that I want to mention, but y'all need to start paying attention. TechExplore.com is where this article is housed. A new sponge coated with nanoparticles that have an affinity for pollution have been created. Northwestern University put this article together. Again, it's over at techexplore.com. While solutions exist, they tend to be costly and can be just one use, but a specialized sponge created by researchers at Northwestern University that works to slurp up pollutants and then release them as desired may present a reusable low-cost solution. The sponge, coated with nanoparticles, but I'm curious what they are, have an affinity for pollutants, can collect metals like zinc and copper, as well as phosphate, and in previous iterations has successfully pulled lead from water and microplastics and oil from lakes and oceans. It then releases these valuable resources. I don't know about microplastics. When it's exposed to different pHs, pH alone has it cast off whatever pollutants it's grabbed. So it's in a paper published on February 5th in ACS, ES&T Water. Researchers define a method to tailor their platform to specific Chicago pollutants and then selectively release them, giving resources that typically must be mined a potential for a second life. Interesting.
Oh, interesting. So it could be used multiple times.
Yep.
Which is pretty amazing, because that's one of the problems with cleanup methods.
Yeah, and it even says that it can be used as a universal sorbent or catch-all, or it can be tailored to certain groups of contaminants like metals, plastics, or nutrients. Interesting, right?
Yeah, this has some promise. Then I guess the question is, what do you do once you've
got all of that pollutants?
Caught all of it, yeah.
Yeah. So the newest version of the highly hydrophilic or water-loving cellulose sponge coated with particles tailored to other pollutants. The sponge platform works so effectively because of its pores, providing lots of surface area where pollutants can catch. Dravid is the Abraham Harris Professor of Material Science and Engineering at Northwestern's McCormick School of Engineering and a faculty affiliate of the Paula M. Trianens Institute for Sustainability and Energy.
Do you think all that fits on one business card or a placard, like on the desk?
On the back of his shirt, or their shirt, I should say. Let's see. What is their first name? Vinayak. or Viniac. I don't know. Anyway, so they've at times referred to the technology as a Swiss Army knife thanks to its versatility and ability to be used again and again. He founded NU startup Coral Innovations, formerly MFNS Tech, to begin the process of commercializing the sponge-based technology for environmental remediation. At a university and colleges, this is typically referred to as a technology exchange, where the school pays for the fundamental research through grants and other material funding, and then the individual is the named inventor, and co-assigned is the school. And so in that sense, public money has been spent for private innovation that gets spun out into a commercial enterprise that benefits all of society. People need to pay attention to that mechanism. So it's a 1-2 pH punch kind of a thing.
A funch.
A funch. Quit trying to make funch happen. So stormwater treatment equipment manufacturer Stormtrap LLC learned about the platform and approached the team asking about 3 specific pollutants heavily impacting Chicago, hoping to add absorbent materials to their portfolio. Stormtrap representatives asked if Dravid could get the concentration of pollutants down to untraceable levels. So the EPA sets levels for minerals based on human health that are at times higher than the amount considered safe from an environmental perspective, such as algae blooms. Anyway, developing the platform to capture copper, zinc, and phosphate was relatively easy, but then Kelly Matuszewski, a PhD student in the Dravid group and the paper's first author, was tasked with determining a method to get the resources back. As stores of phosphate and metals in mines are depleted, their second step is becoming critical. And apparently that's what they did. By changing the pH, metals flush out of the sponge.
Very interesting. I mean, yeah. It's a big innovation, but it's applying standard scientific principles.
Yep. Yeah. So this takes money and time, folks. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today as well. Electrons frozen yet free, a quantum breakthrough in graphene. By twisting layers of graphene, researchers discovered a unique electronic crystal where electrons freeze in place yet allow current to flow along the edges without resistance. This behavior is dictated by topology, such as a Mobius strip's one-sided surface. The finding could have major implications for quantum computing. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about this one.
Well, that's not good, because then there's going to be 2 of us.
Shahrzad Abbasi over at University of British Columbia put the article together. It's at scitechdaily.com. Researchers from the University of British Columbia, the University of Washington, and Johns Hopkins University have discovered a new class of quantum states in specially engineered graphene. Their study, published in Nature, reveals the existence of topological electronic crystals in a unique material called twisted bilayer trilayer graphene. All right. The system is created by stacking ultra-thin graphene layers with a precise rotational twist, fundamentally altering their electronic behavior.
Would you recognize bilayer, trilayer graphene if you saw it?
I don't know. If they have a picture, maybe I can infer from its construction. If it's a bi or a tri or a bi-tri, or it's a try now, a buy later. Don't buy a try but don't buy. I don't know. Remarkably, the amount of current that flows along the edge is precisely determined by the ratio of 2 fundamental constants of nature, Planck's constant, and the charge of the electron. The precision of this value is guaranteed by a property of electron crystal known as topology, which describes the properties of objects that remain unchanged by modest deformations. So just as a donut cannot be smoothly deformed into a pretzel without first cutting it open, the circulating channel of electrons around the boundary 2D electron crystal remains undisturbed by disorder in its surrounding environment. As one does.
I mean, I definitely see a lot of people trying to move donuts into pretzels, but I think they're trying to put it in some everyday terms so that people have some idea what they're talking about.
So I'm really kind of curious about what this is, because it says the topological electron crystal is not just a theoretical curiosity. It could play a key role in advancing quantum information technology, because scientists are exploring ways to combine this unique electron state with superconductivity, a step that could help create qubits for next generation topological quantum computers. So how does this play out in a quantum computer? It seems like it's going to be used for the transport of energy from one state to another.
I think so. And I also think it's going to allow that state to be relatively locked down, which I think perhaps is missing in some current quantum computing research.
They have to reset them.
Right. There was a good analogy above with the Mobius strip. So that's where I kind of got that last piece from.
Gotcha. So an everyday example of topology is a Mobius strip, a simple yet mind-bending object. If you look up Mobius strip, it's basically a plane that's twisted around and reconnected so as the outside edge is both the inside and the outside edge as you follow it. So imagine taking a strip of paper, forming it into a loop, taping the ends together. Now, take another strip, but before joining the ends, give it a single twist. The result is a Mobius strip, a surface with just one side and one edge. Amazingly, no matter how you try to manipulate the strip, you cannot untwist it back into a normal loop without tearing it apart, which is kind of a duh moment. The rotation of the electrons in the crystal is analogous to the twist in the Mobius strip and leads to a remarkable characteristic of the topological electronic crystal never before seen in the rare cases where electron crystals have been observed in the past. Edges where electrons flow without resistance describe being locked in place within the crystal itself. So, but on the edges, there's supposed to be no resistance, but inside the strip, they're locked in place.
Right.
Huh. Fascinating. I don't know. I wish my brain worked where I would wake up one day and understand that kind of stuff. It really is beyond me. At least there hasn't been anybody that talks about this kind of deep scientific theory and application.
Well, I love the articles that we get from SciTech Daily. And I appreciate that they're doing this research. And I mean, it could change the way things operate down the road. It's hard to see it today, but
yeah, I would say, let's just move on. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Scientists solve the mystery of sea turtles' lost years. Using satellite tracker, scientists have discovered the whereabouts of young sea turtles during a key part of their lives. So apparently turtles just disappear. What is that called? Where people just go off and they go on walkabout. Basically.
Oh yeah, like a walkabout. They're like, I think also anabasis is another term.
Gotcha.
Not quite the same thing, but
Christina Larson put this article together. It's over at phys.org. We've had massive data gaps about the early baby to toddler life stages of sea turtles. This part of their lives has largely been a mystery, but for decades, scientists have wondered about what happens during these so-called lost years. It's about 10 years. New research published Tuesday begins to fill that gap. For over a decade, Mansfield and colleagues attached GPS tags to the fast-growing shells of young turtles. Steering small boats, they looked for young turtles drifting among the algae in the Gulf of Mexico, eventually tagging 114 animals, including endangered green turtles, loggerheads, hawksbills, and Kemp's ridleys. Okay. It's Ruth's Chris's Steakhouse.
Those are actually a well-known turtle, but yeah, they have an odd name.
Ruth's Chris?
No, Kemp's Ridleys.
Eventually, the GPS tags slough off, and because the outside of the turtle shell basically sheds away. So that's kind of the no shit news in this article. It was all posted to the Proceedings of the Royal Society B because it didn't earn an A. Just kidding. It's two different. Anyway.
No, we just always poke fun at the journal meme.
Yeah. So what we've uncovered is that turtles are actually swimming. They thought, though, that the tiny turtles drifted passively with ocean currents, literally going with the flow, as described in, or at least alluded to in Finding Nemo and
Finding Dory.
Finding Dory, with the big turtle. The teacher, all of the fish climbed onto it, and
oh yeah,
do you remember that? Yeah. So
I was trying to think of the name. Crush is one of the turtles.
Crush. Yeah.
Crush. Yeah.
Yeah.
His son was Squirt.
Funny. So scientists confirmed this by comparing location data of young turtles with the routes of drifting buoys set in the water at the same time. More than half of the buoys washed ashore while the turtles did not. So this tiny little hatchling is actually making its own decisions about where it wants to go in the ocean and what it wants to avoid. So don't get washed up. So there you go.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is really cool. I know turtles have, they do a lot of work toward making sure turtle populations thrive, right? From protecting hatchlings as they come up on the beach, etc.
To finding the eggs and then protecting them entirely and then releasing them like they would. So the findings give biologists a better idea of how young turtles use the Gulf of Mexico, a critical region for 4 species of endangered sea turtles. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today as well. X-ray study sheds light on cost-effective fuel cell material that could rival platinum. Platinum is very, very expensive. And so maybe this is going to be a lesser expensive material. Cornell researchers have captured an unprecedented real-time view of how a promising catalyst material transforms during operation, providing new insights that could lead to replacement of expensive precious metals in clean energy technologies. Sil Kasapir from Cornell University put this article together. And so it says, seeking more affordable alternative, a research team co-led by material scientist Andre Singer and chemist Hector Abruna studied a cobalt manganese oxide catalyst in a study published February 7th in Nature Catalysis, Catalysis. They used advanced X-ray techniques at the Cornell high-energy synchrotron, the Cornell High Energy Synchronon. God bless America.
This is a spelling bee or
I'll get there. So they used X-ray techniques at the Cornell High Energy Synchrotron source to observe the catalyst in action. Their findings revealed an unexpected structural stability, suggesting that it has the potential to be a low-cost rival to platinum. So these cobalt manganese oxides can accommodate surprisingly large strains during operation. Many other materials would permanently deform or degrade. So apparently this new composite can resist that deformation. The study also identified a key limitation. While the material can repeatedly recover from small rapid voltage shifts, prolonged exposure triggers an irreversible structural transformation. The finding, along with other modeling, is helping researchers better define the material's potential degradation points. So,
I mean, I think as they continue to expand the number of resources that can be used for some of these technologies, I think that'll be good, because I think right now it's so contingent on a single mineral being accessible, etc. And we know there's some questions with how those are retrieved and the processes, etc.
Right. And so you need this fundamental research. For the most part, it's very, very, very expensive, and fundamental research doesn't necessarily bear out a success in the positive, but a success in the negative, i.e., this does not work, and so don't do this anymore. But you don't know what you don't know.
But that could be just as important, right? Because it can shape the direction going forward. Without that negative result, they might be throwing a lot of resources down the drain or not coming up with other solutions.
Right. Because a theoretical, it doesn't work, is not adequate enough, because there's been enough anomalous behavior in material sciences to go, you need to test this situation to see if it works or not. So the findings are proving valuable insights that they feel will enable the broad deployment of these technologies. This also works to illustrate the collaborative and synergistic research environment and culture at Cornell, and serves as an example of research coming full circle. And a lot of academic research ends up in your homes, powering cars.
I mean, what about things like the use of the internet?
Right. That came from fundamental science. So, all right. So it says, building on these findings, the team plans to explore the bimetallic oxide systems and extend their X-ray methodologies to investigate a broader range of electrocatalytic materials. So, yeah, good luck. All right, let's go. Our last article is over in, and this one is the most interesting to me out of all of these, at least today. Magnetic fields reshape the movement of sound waves in a stunning discovery. So magnetic fields. You wouldn't think that sound waves have any physical form that would allow them to be manipulated, because it's basically a shock front. It's a flow of energy across particles in the atmosphere, and then it hits your body and vibrates.
True. But I think potentially it could run into some kind of interference.
But to date, sound waves have always been impacted by physical.
Right. Absolutely. I don't think we've seen anything, at least not on this scale, to show otherwise. Yeah, so this is a really big deal. I mean, the fact that the headline says stunning discovery was enough reason to submit it into the show.
Yeah. And this is interesting because I certainly have been a proponent of an idea that we don't know the full scope and capabilities of sound and the electromagnetic forces. So scientists have unlocked a previously unseen behavior of acoustic waves, opening up new possibilities for cutting-edge communication technologies. By experimenting with nanoscale magnetic materials, researchers observed an asymmetric diffraction pattern in surface acoustic waves, something only known in optics until now. This groundbreaking discovery suggests that sound waves can be manipulated in ways never before seen. So gravity can create a thing called lensing, which basically allows for observers to see behind a planet, because if you look at the edge of the planet, its gravity is actually warping space-time around it, depending on particularly a sun. You can see a galaxy behind a galaxy because it's lensing the space-time behind it around it. It's quite amazing. And then to find out that it's doing this with sound, I find it pretty equally amazing. So Tohoku University put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. Researchers have discovered a novel way that surface acoustic waves interact with magnetic materials, leading to a surprising asymmetric diffraction effect, which could revolutionize acoustic-based communication technologies. So researchers have discovered a new way that acoustic waves propagate, which could lead to significant advancements in communication technology. And the study was conducted by the Institute for Materials Research at Tohoku University in collaboration with the Japan Atomic Energy Agency and the Riken Center for Emergent Matter Science. This is almost something where aliens...
that's exactly what it sounds like.
So they call them SAW. Surface acoustic waves, vibrations that travel along the surface of materials like ripples on water. are essential to or in modern communications. They play a role in frequency filters used in mobile phones, converting electrical signals into vibrations through the piezoelectric effect. And this conversion enables efficient signal processing, making a deeper understanding of SAW crucial for future technological advancements.
So the only reason they were able to do this now is because the advancements in miniaturization of various materials. I mean, they had to have the expertise to set up the experiment, etc. But
right.
Is that why this has just been discovered now?
Yeah, you can't measure for you can't measure for science that hasn't been wherein sensor technology hasn't been created. All you have is theory before that. Once you have the sensor technology, that's when you can go, oh yeah, I've just confirmed this theory. So the phenomenon has previously been observed only in optics, so we are very excited to confirm that it extends beyond optics to other wave phenomena. Through theoretical analysis, the research team identified this asymmetric behavior as arising from the unique interaction between SAWs and magnetic materials, specifically related to their angular momenta. The finding may enable precise control of SAW propagation using these magnetic fields, leading to the development of innovative acoustic devices that advance both classical and quantum communication technologies. We keep moving towards quantum.
I mean, think what this could do for just something like listening to music or something. Like we have more understanding of audio principles.
Yeah, and if we can manipulate it at the nano level, perhaps the fidelity or the amount of data put into a smaller bit of space-time, basically, would allow for great amounts of communication.
Right, and I know there are much more important applications of it, but just from how would it affect some average person?
Right. Yeah, I find it pretty interesting. I'm not sure the full scope of this just yet, but as researchers kind of do more and more fundamental research in this, we'll find out more about it. And like I keep saying, it goes from tactical to practical. You have military and government operations utilizing this stuff, and then it spins out into commercial enterprise. GPS, I keep hearkening back to that. GPS, the internet, was all government built for a particular purpose and then released to the wild, changing the world the whole way through. So,
absolutely. I mean, a lot of people use these things in their day-to-day life, and they all came from these types of experiments.
Yep. So we're going to adjust our nanoscale magnetic materials and adjust us back to the front page of Technology Today over at ohmtown.com. And I'm going to say bye and take the AI with me.
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's Technology Today. Stay tuned. We still have FourWheelTech, and then we'll have another episode of Technology Today next weekend.
You got it. See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech, a show all about automotive and automotive technology news. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we're going to talk about these 5 articles. Supersport penny farthing. What about those red and yellow dots on my tires? You want to do a vintage EV swap? I'll talk briefly about the 2025 Valkyrie Le Mans, and no spare, no problems. No spare, no problem. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Oh, that's me. I am Mayor Watt.
That is you.
So we want to talk about cars today. It's a 30-minute show, and we've selected 5 articles. Each one is typically about 6 minutes or so that we talk about, but sometimes I vamp and run off the track. That said, this first one, sending me over the hedge or whatever you want to call it. Into Pit Row. This is the oddest thing that I've ever even seen as a title.
I think Over the Hedge is a kid's animated movie.
It is, but I thought it was a funny sentence. You know what I didn't do in the last show? So the last show was Technology Today. I didn't put the show notes in the chat. So
okay, well, we'll just have to do better.
Let me do that really quick. So if you want the show notes, you can hit bang FWT. So exclamation point FWT. And Omatron will spit the last episode of our show out into the chat. So you get to see all of the links and my titles. They're not the real titles of these articles. We don't go that way. So we aggregate a small little snippet. This is representative of the little snippet that we aggregate. And that usually teases us into going over to the source. Because ohmTown is a news aggregation site that I manage for my own information overload. And then everybody else has been given access to it. So turning a Supersport motorcycle into a penny farthing is a gloriously dumb idea.
I mean, it probably is, but it sounds like it might be entertaining.
Oh, it's entertaining because when I was setting up a lot of stuff is coming from Jalopnik. But they're the one that's surviving attrition and everything is like consolidating into kind of like the fast food wars. Taco Bell is going to be the winner.
That's right. I forgot what the movie was called. Was a documentary.
Demolition Man. Yeah. So when humanity developed the motorcycle, its greatest achievement to date, it did so on the back of innovation that came before it, much like science does. The first and society, culture, everything stands on the shoulders of giants. So the first motorcycle incorporated what we'd already learned from bicycles, which meant we never had the opportunity to make the same design mistakes as other two-wheelers. Well, Amber De Silva put this article together.
Okay, this already looks kind of unique.
Yeah. So it's a penny farthing with training wheels, mind you.
Okay, and probably not everybody knows what a penny farthing is by name.
Okay. Do you want to describe it?
It's like an old-timey bicycle with a very large front wheel and then
tiny little back wheel.
One little back wheel?
One little back wheel, yeah.
I know, I was confused by the picture because this has obviously been modified.
Yeah, this is a Supersport, a Yamaha R6, when you could ride a Yamaha R6 with a 65-inch front wheel. So why ride a boring old Yamaha R6 with a tiny wheel when you can have a penny farthing Supersport motorcycle? Amber De Silva over at jalopnik.com put the article together, and yeah, there you go. But it has training wheels. I've tried to ride a penny farthing before, and I could not do it because you basically have to get a running start and keep on scooting.
Right, and then hope you don't need to stop.
Correct, yeah. So Greg, it says regulations. Oh, goodness. So we never got a penny farthing motorcycle, and that's a tragedy that YouTube engineer Regulations set out to remedy. Greg had a dream that he built the world's fastest penny farthing out of a superbike. He decided to make that dream a reality through careful engineering, less careful error correcting based on mistakes in that initial engineering, and then throwing a whole lot of money at a machine shop to build parts. So there you go. Very what's that? It used to be separate, but it's part of Lego now. The erector
like
set.
Technic?
Yeah, Technic. It's very Technic, right? Like the wheel is a giant motorcycle tire.
Like Technic. Like that picture actually looks like it could have been built from that. Yeah. I know it wasn't.
These little braces here that bring the back tire, a small back tire, down to the bottom. Even the little outrigger wheels seem to be like Technic frames, it's pretty wild. So yeah, they decided to build a full-size Supersport motorcycle into a penny farthing motorcycle.
I would have never connected those two vehicles.
Pretty wild. Yeah, I would never.
Although I will say penny farthings can actually go pretty fast for people that actually know what they're doing.
Yeah, apparently you can. There's races like on velodromes, you know. So Greg learned that a 65-inch steel front wheel is all but impossible to turn, leading him to equip the Super Farthing with what may be the first ever hydraulic power steering on a motorcycle. What? Okay. The hydraulics were already there to lift the training wheels once the rider got going, an idea that immediately proved ill-advised, leaving the pump open to be repurposed. So, yeah, these wheels probably always stay down.
Oh, okay. Which might actually slow it down.
But, well, I mean, it makes it difficult to turn, and I'm really curious.
Right.
I'm really curious how they...
I hope this shows this in action. So for those in the podcast, we're playing a video.
Yeah, and you can go and watch that video too. Yeah, I think the wheels probably stay down. The little outrigger wheels. Oh,
they started off-road. That didn't go too well.
Oh, no. God. That's just horrible.
That's the thing that always looked difficult with penny farthings. Wow, that's actually got some speed going in that scene.
Wow. Okay, it's just all kinds of silly. So the seat is at his head height. I don't know how tall he is, but it has a front disc brake. It has a a fabricated QR code license plate on it. Regulations.
And they're using a ladder to get on it. I mean, which fits with it being a penny farthing, but...
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, it's a full-on motorcycle. Pieces had to be redesigned or cut away to fit accessories not included in the original model. Little luxuries like brake calipers. And the entire rear suspension ended up being scrapped after Greg realized that the rear wheel had enough leverage from its newly designed swing arm to compress the shock with mere acceleration. It's rare to find a bike with too much anti-squat, but here's a perfect example. All right.
Well, this needed to be submitted because we never see anything about penny farthings in the news.
I agree. You know what? There's just not enough penny farthings. Well, we'll see what happens. You know, the future... All right. Let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech.
Stop trying to make that happen.
Come on, 1823. The next article is over in FourWheelTech. Ever notice those red and yellow dots on your tires? Well, here's what they mean. If you've never noticed them, I'm surprised. Last time you bought a new tire, how closely did you look at it? You probably checked it for size and fit, making sure that its width and profile and wheel size work with your car. But how carefully did you look at the other markings? Did you take notice to the little yellow and red dots? Did you ever wonder what they meant? Well, Amber De Silva takes us for a little drive. The short answer is that it's not there for you, but the long answer is that is the one you're here for. So yellow dots are light, red dots are tall. If you're bringing your tires to the shop, you don't need to worry about such things unless you really don't trust your mechanic and want to check their work. Though at that point, maybe just get a new shop. Or, hey, maybe this is a chance to take your newfound knowledge and try balancing your own wheels. So give it a shot when you pick up a spare set for winter. So the reason these marks won't matter to the average driver is that the average driver isn't balancing their own wheel and tire packages. They're leaving the job to shops with automatic tire balancing machines, if they're even thinking about it at all. But for those who want to mount and balance at home, start by lining up the tire's yellow dot with the wheel's valve stem. The weight differences likely won't balance out, but you'll be in the better place if you'd put the lightest and heaviest parts of the tire and wheel on opposite sides. Similarly, If there's a low spot on your wheel, that's where the red dot should go. If you've got both, though, the red dot takes precedence. It's easier to make up a weight offset with some tacked on grams than it is to counteract a physical bump in the tire.
I don't know where to go from there. I didn't even know tires had dots on them.
Yeah, so I've noticed the dots, but I thought they were just manufacturing dots. This actually told me what those dots really are. So it's pretty simple. You could probably do a Google search to find this thing out, but it's fun to find it in an article.
Oh, I agree. I like these kind of articles because they're things that might be prevalent in every day, but nobody's thought to ask about them.
Yeah, so apparently the red dot is the outside. Okay, wait. What does it go? The dots are there to help the balancing process get started. So the yellow dots are for the wheel's valve stem, and the red dot is for the lowest part on the tire, on the wheel.
Like where it's physically located.
Yeah, where the low part is, yeah. On the tire, of the rubber itself, when you put it on the tire.
Oh, right. I'm not getting into the whole tire versus wheel thing.
Yeah. This right here is the rim. This edge. The whole thing is the wheel, and that is the tire.
Correct.
Okay. Anyway.
You'll have to go back and watch all of our previous episodes to fully understand why we're getting into that here.
That's right. Hot dogs or tacos, too. Anyway, moving on. The next article is over in FourWheelTech. These are the vintage cars you want to EV swap. I don't want to EV swap anything until we have fast swap battery technology. Earlier this week, the author over at Jalopnik had a chance to drive Everetti's EV swapped Porsche 911. And it got them daydreaming about other vintage cars that they would feel would be an excellent candidate for electric powertrains. So they are asking, what would you like? Daniel Golson puts this question out. The readers want everything from pickup trucks to sports cars to get a jolt of electrons.
Could you do hybrid swap?
Yeah, you really could. I mean, if the infrastructure would support it. So the answers range from land barges to sports cars and everything in between. To be honest, they think that the nearly any answers could have been valid. There are also so many older cars that they were saddled with bad powertrains or ones that had hard to maintain in the modern era, and EV swap can make an old car much easier to live with, extending their lifespans. But the physics don't allow for battery swaps.
That's true. Plus, there's a lot of people that are, I can't think what the word is, but if it's an old car, they don't necessarily want to have custom, right? They want stock parts or whatever.
That's right. They want stock restoration, not custom restoration.
Right. Thank you. Oh, that's a cool car.
Apparently, Lady Gaga owns one of these. DeLorean. Plymouth Prowler, which I've always liked, but people said that these were junkers.
They look cool, though. I wonder if that's like Fisker Ocean.
Well, I mean, Plymouth had been around for a while.
Well, true. Yeah, it's not like that. Sorry.
Yeah, I actually wanted one of these, but never got around to, I can't remember what it was. There was some problem with these things. And I think it might have been the engine. I'm not sure. Anyway, space is at a premium under the hood for the Hellcat LS swaps, but an EV drivetrain could fit nicely. The same could be said for the DeLorean, says the public.
So the drivetrain, it sounds like, is the issue, at least from this snippet.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of this. Even being an electric, it would be great. But again, no fast swap battery tech. I'm not interested. Cord 812. These are all older cars. I don't think that they have the capability of being modified, mainly because the chassis can't support all that weight, and I don't want to drive around in my coffin.
True. Cool looking car, though.
It is a cool looking car. The Fiat X1/9. I don't know what that is, but I think it's X19. This looks like a spaceship.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put that one on the list, but.
Or the Toyota MR2.
I don't think of that as vintage, but okay.
Yeah, what year is that from? It doesn't say, huh?
Well, no, I mean the Toyota. Well, that one looks like it's got some time, but it's not as old as some of the other ones we've seen.
1972 to 82.
For the Fiat?
Yeah. It is 1/9, not 19.
Oh, okay. Oh, they do like the Sony
naming convention.
Naming.
Let's throw a random character
in there. It looks like in the MR2, it looks like was around like in the 80s, maybe, to start.
Yeah. So then the Studebaker Avanti, GM T400 trucks, basically any truck, I think would be good. If you could do, again, fast swap batteries, not the fixed sled, but a Nissan Pike cars. These look like something out of Pixar.
Oh, they absolutely do. They would do very well in the Disney Cars movie.
This one had to have been in it, I think. This one too.
I think the green one was, and maybe the yellow one.
Maybe even that one. I think these were
cars,
actually.
I don't mean like that model. I mean like that exact car.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's funny.
Have you ever thought about those though? The cars, like the insides of the car. Like if you open the door, what do you see?
Well, you shouldn't really be opening those cars because that's like the person, right?
Right.
Right. And they don't ever open the doors on any of
those. I don't want to. I'm starting to think about it. Round door Rolls Royce Phantom 1. That's just because, I mean, this is the kind of car that you end up super villain or superhero, that kind of a thing. You know?
Right. It could go either way. But I mean, I do expect cars like this to be suggested for.
Sure.
Like, it's got to be a cool car. We got to basically modernize it.
Something steampunky. Yeah, I like that. Volkswagen Beetle. That's what I learned how to drive stick shift with. Volkswagen Beetle.
And that's definitely a cool car.
Ford Model T, which, come on. Although, what's interesting is the very first electric car was actually in the 1800s.
That's right. Before the Model T.
Yeah, it used chemical batteries, lead acid batteries. And that's all of them. But yeah, the 1925 Model T Touring, the factory block has a crack in the cooling jacket. And unfortunately, the company owner drove it without coolant, and EV conversion could make it far easier to drive and could hide battery packs under both seats. Yeah.
By the way, I think that car that you were talking about was the Flocken Electrowagen, maybe?
Maybe.
I probably totally mispronounced that because it's a German name, but.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see real quick. Yeah, so yeah, that's what it looked like. The one that I saw had its top down, but yeah, It is. I mean, you might as well just say Flocken Electro. I mean, you've kind of Americanized it, but
right. I realized that as I was saying it.
Oh, I was right. 1888. Yeah. There you go. So, okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech as well. Aston Martin launches 2025 Valkyrie Le Mans program, ending 8-year wait. It's been 8 years since Aston Martin unveiled a road-going Valkyrie. Over the time span, Canadian billionaire Lawrence Stroll bought the British luxury automaker, and its partnership with the hypercar's co-developer Red Bull Advanced Technologies collapsed. Plans to race the hypercar at Le Mans seemingly on hold. Ryan Eric King put the article together. It's the Valkyrie's naturally aspirated V12 engine dropped 300 horsepower to meet LMH regulations. I don't know how they dial in horsepower like that, but okay.
Yeah, I don't either.
Anyway, it has been resurrected in 2023, and the Aston Martin Valkyrie AMR LMH will finally make its competitive debut in Qatar in an 1812 kilometer race. So let's see here. Aston Martin and the Heart of Racing team revealed their full driver lineup in the Valkyrie's 2 liveries for the 2025 season on Tuesday. The factory effort will sport traditional British racing green in the FIA World Endurance Championship and a variation of Thor's Deep Blue in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
That's a lot going on there.
Yeah, that racing green, though, is really nice. I really do like that.
It is.
Next car will be racing green. For example, Le Mans hypercar regulations have a maximum horsepower limit of 680 horsepower, while the production Valkyrie 6.5-liter V12 engine produces over 1,000.
Wow.
But it can't go over a speed bump to save anybody's life.
Right, and also I'm not quite sure how you get into it.
Yeah, I don't know. You step on a teleporter and it blips.
You have to like use one of those little sleds or whatever that they use for maintenance, but like to get into the car.
Oh, a creeper, and you slide in from underneath.
Yeah, exactly. Or something like that.
Yeah, you climb in from a pit, and there's a hole in the bottom, and then they weld you in because you're not getting out of that thing.
That might be true.
Wow. Pretty cool. There's the blue one.
Those are both really cool looking.
These look like images, like
renders or whatever.
Yeah. So there's more over at this article. Go over and check it out whenever you get a chance. It's over at jalopnik.com. Aston Martin launches 2025 Valkyrie Le Mans program, finally ending 8-year wait. I know I've been waiting.
I know I was counting down.
I was not. Nope. No. Our last article is over in FourWheelTech as well. No spare, no problem. Here's what every car should carry in case of a flat. Not long ago, virtually every single new car was sold with a spare tire, a jack, and a small toolkit to allow owners to swap out a flat tire for a spare on the side of the road. That has changed over recent years, with many car makers dropping the standard spare tire to cut costs and reduce vehicle weight.
Well, and also, how many people actually know how to change a flat tire anymore?
You know, I'm always kind of astonished by that, because you would think that it would be really freaking easy to deduce from the visible inputs how you're supposed to remove a tire, right? Like, you don't lift your car up and then try to remove the lug nuts. Why? Because when you put the wrench on it to remove your lug nuts, your tire's going to rotate. So you keep your car on the ground, your tire, so it's touching the ground, and you loosen the lug nuts, and then you lift the car up, and then you can loosen them all the way and take your tire off.
Oh, okay. But I don't think everybody realizes that.
And they come to a little wedge, but nobody is really intellectually curious about this kind of stuff unless you're interested in cars, which is why we put the show together, so that you could learn about automotive technology.
Right.
And so I encourage you to go and look at your car. And honestly, the only time I've ever had to, oh no, now that I've said something out loud. So one day I was on my way to Vegas and I was rolling down the road in my 6.4. So I'm racing down the road, and an industrial box of staples fell off the back of a car. And
like, as it always does.
As one does. And so this long ass road that nobody ever travels down, except everybody travels down. It just happens to be that nobody traveled down it when I was there, except
so you were like the first person to encounter it or something.
Yeah. And so here I go racing down the road through these industrial staples, blowing out all 4 of my tires.
Ouch.
It was like Swiss cheese. They became armored by staples. And they weren't like little staples. They were these
right. Large
industrial.
What did it sound like?
Thinking back, I don't know. I don't really remember. I think I might have just like stroked it out, just because it was over $2,000 worth of tires. And so, because these were like low profile racing tires, so that not like slicks or anything, but Z-rated tires so that you could actually drive fast with them on tracks and stuff. And so I blew out all 4 of my tires. I had to get towed. That was expensive. I got towed to a shop, and then they're like, hey, your transmission is messed up too. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I basically got a new transmission and 4 new tires all at the same time. So it was quite fun.
An expensive jaunt.
I had less to gamble at in Las Vegas. So, and I'm not much of a Las Vegas person anyway. But anyway, not long ago, virtually every new car had a spare tire, but now they're not. So often cars are sold without the spare tire and instead come fitted with run flat tires that can still be driven on for short distances when the tire is completely flat, or they're offered a can of tire sealant and an air compressor that plugs into the 12-volt socket that you can basically charge it up. So they say basic road safety kit, jumpers and tie downs and lift and whatnot. But I think they're saying get a portable air compressor and tire sealant and a pressure gauge and some drinking water because you're going to be picking your nose. And that's it. But everybody should have an emergency kit. Part of their go bag that just sits in the back of the car and you periodically audit. And while I used to sit there and say, you'll never need this kind of stuff, I don't know anymore. You just might need it. I'm not a doomsday prepper or anything like that. And I used to sit there and I used to say a lot of things, and I need to just stop saying them.
Right. I mean, you don't want to cause them to to come into existence. I think it would be better to have an emergency kit in your car and never need it than have it be the one time you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have anything.
Yeah. If you're planning on being in this, like for me, I was out in the desert for several hours. The timing was just right where it wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. And there was some amount of reception at that time and people passing by. But for crying out loud, never again. So have some water, have some food there, something shelf stable but still nutritious enough. You can do, tinned fish or I don't know, something else. If you're a vegetarian or pescatarian or I don't know, whatever else. Just bring some food. It looks like they even have vitamins. Medicine.
Yeah, which is interesting because you wouldn't be able to store that long term, but maybe the idea is swap it out occasionally.
Yeah, I don't know. So be prepared, folks. You never know when the fit's gonna hit the shan. But that's it. I'm going to compress my air, and that's going to cause me to end up at the front page of FourWheelTech over at ohmtown.com, where you can go and become a citizen. But that's it. We're going to put the pedal to the metal and burn some rubber. Get out of here so you can start your day. All of this will get posted over to YouTube and to the podcasts as soon as possible. Hopefully tonight, but mayoral duties might pull me away. I do have a task in short order here. So that's it, folks. I'm taking the AI and we're saying bye. Bye. Go ahead and say bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us for this week's FourWheelTech. We'll have another episode next weekend, but come back tomorrow for regular non sequitur news.
Yep. See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.